To be fair. What's up, buddy? How's it
How you doing,
happening?
Brad?
I
I am
have
so happy.
Disneyland, Star Wars flashing mouse here, so how could I be bad? So that's all I have to say about the war in Vietnam. I feel good about this.
You've always got something going on.
I tried to. Congratulations. You did
Thank
Siegler
you.
dominance. You did Art
I'm
of
back,
War
baby.
dominance.
It was a heck of a show. We were very confident going in. We've been fine tuning these lists. If you remember the war room, you've been seeing us experiment with all sorts of different builds and what we thought was going to be really good on this Games Workshop Orlando terrain. And boy, did that practice actually pay off in the final results with me finishing as best general. Jack had the most battle points. He was the war master. John was second to one, and Blake Law even did. He was one of the top best overalls.
With the
So
Knights,
with the Knights, yeah, and Mark Perry was up there in the top four as well.
it was
Absolute
stone
team
box. I
knowledge.
love that. I imagine Brad's computer is a stone box with multiple hamster meals working in tandem. You're not far from the truth. I spent a lot of money on those hamsters. They're very buff. They're buff hamsters. We got stuff that went on. So now that we've done some events in both, I kind of wanted to expand on this. I was talking to Scary about this. We did 40K today.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts right now on three different types of terrain? So we've got GW set terrain for every basically a completely set player place terrain on your half, like FLG's doing right now, or just standardized terrain that kind of moves, or basically set terrain that moves via the mission. What are your thoughts on all
So
three of those?
I
40K.
really, yeah, I really enjoyed playing on the Games Workshop terrain. The sheer amount of obscuring terrain meant that the game was always going to go into and matter into turns 4 and 5 in close matchups. If you just had a better list than your opponent, or you just were, outskilling them, then sure, the terrain isn't going to matter. It doesn't matter what the terrain is in that case. But when you're playing with two top players, or even relatively close players at the middle brackets, you're still getting really close games going down the wire at turns 4 and 5. So I really like that aspect of it. No games were really decided on the first two turns. So I'm sure the people on stream really enjoyed the fact that, going into turn
Some
four
great
and five,
games on that. It
everything is
was,
still its
yep.
big.
There was a ton of
Um,
games that in our own Mr. Brown, as much as I like to give Nick crap about everything. He did a very good job as his hosting. He gave like a lot of really high level commentary, and it was actually pretty cool. I actually liked him.
I don't like player place terrain. I think it just adds an extra step at the beginning of the game. It takes more time away from playing the actual game itself, and it's really a band-aid for not having enough line of sight blocking terrain. So
Sure, but
I think it's a good way to go.
I like player place terrain in your half if it solves a lot of issues if you do not have
If you
my
don't have enough terrain,
right.
sure, no problem.
My thing that my personal favorite way to play the game right now is terrain that changes per the mission. Basically, set terrain that just basically adjusts slightly depending on what mission it is, so that you're not just playing all ruins that are one way, and then you play hammer and anvil, and it doesn't make any sense to have them that way. So I like that. That'd be my favorite. That would be like my number one way to play 40K. See how I rhyme? I'm an old man with rhymes.
You have a few rhymes, but I mean, the Games Workshop terrain did switch based on what mission it was.
Right. I'm just
So
saying that
with
like
Dawn of
that's
Wars,
that is my favorite as far as that.
yeah,
It,
I love that they added that feature. That was my favorite part of LVO 2019, was the fact that they would change the terrain based on which mission you were playing.
100%, because then you
And
always have the
yeah,
thing is you never want just one die roll to make it such a big deal. Going first, if you have proper terrain, tell you the truth, I prefer going second most of the
me too.
time.
I love going second in the
Yeah.
semifinals and the final at Games Workshop Orlando. You can ask Jack and John about that.
Yeah, you're just because whoever basically makes the first committed move is the person that's also taking damage first, because the other person's just waiting to put that damage on you. So it is a big deal on that. I just love being able to react and basically go, all right, well, I've still got 100% of my stuff, and now you have 80% of your stuff. I'm currently winning the attrition war, so
Well, as Mike Brandt proudly announced at the award ceremony, the go first win rate at Games Workshop Orlando was like 51%.
51%. I saw
It
that.
was super tight between first and second.
And
So
I think
he was
that's how it
very,
should
very
be, though.
proud of that.
It is very nice on that because I think it goes down to more player skill. So, how did you feel about your choice, your Metallica choice?
Loved it. Loved it. Played exactly how I intended. In the list designing phase, I had tried a lot of stuff. Lucius Mars, I had tried Agrippina, and then I settled on, once we started actually getting some reps on the Games Workshop Orlando terrain, seeing that there's barely any firing angles until you're in the exact middle of the table, in which case you're in your opponent's counter assault threat range. Because of that, I wanted to be able to project my own threat from my ruins and be able to deal with things that are being bodyguarded, like Celestine or Vol, and being able to move across the map very quickly to contest objectives and deny primary points while protecting my own with all the OPSEC bodies that I have. So worked out perfectly. That flat advance 6 was amazing. I didn't use the Metallic and Lung very often, but boy, into Custody Telemon Dreads, uh, coupled with Ruststalkers, the Metallic and Lung actually helped in that matchup.
Can you turn your
Because it
volume
started.
up just a bit, brother? I'm going to turn mine down a little bit myself, and then we'll try to be equal somewhere.
I got it all the way up, my man.
All
So
right, I've got you
check
all the way up
OBS.
also. You're you're quiet even to me though, so I will take a
I'm
sneak
quiet
peek.
to you. I'm
Yeah,
quiet all the time.
you are quiet all the
It
time.
could also just be that my voice is a little shot from playing 9 games of 40K.
I mean,
So
this is
I
also
may
a
be
thing.
talking lower than I normally talk.
And I'm
But
just going to be loud because I'm loud and old and probably can't hear myself, let alone everybody else. That
not with those
happens.
ears on.
Well, you gotta be loud and proud with your flashing Star Wars ears. Britt just went to Disneyland. She was in California. My lovely wife went for a
Oh
weekend.
wow.
That's what happens when you have Pete friends with flyer miles that send you out places. So,
Have friends with flyer miles. Well, lots of congratulations to chat. Appreciate everybody in there. Nurgle Matt, I saw that you were supporting me throughout the Games Workshop stream, so thank you so much. Very glad to have your support and be my lucky charm there.
you know what? Art of
Couldn't
War,
have done it without you.
the Art of War team, I was very proud of you guys in multiple ways. One, obviously great performance, but also everybody brought a different faction and still performed fantastically. And I also think that means the game, to me, I feel that helps a lot show that the game's in a decent place right now, Matt. We just got done with Meta Monday. What are your thoughts on just where that is? We'll do an extended Art of War game recap, but also a little bit extended Meta Monday where we rope Siegler in to tell us what he thinks about this.
I mean, I still think that Drukhari and AdMech have just better. They have more rules that are better overall. They have more play styles, they have more diversity, and they have more units overall than pretty much any other army besides maybe Sisters. Sisters do MSU super well as well. But I feel like at the top you have AdMech, Drukhari, and Sisters when you run their best build, and all of them are very close together. We're gonna see how New Orcs, Grey Knights, Thousand Suns fit into that. But I think Space Marines are right below that, and then all the factions down from there. So if you saw our tier list we did like a month and a half ago, we'll be doing another one soon since a bunch of new codexes have come out and the meta has really changed a lot. So we'll definitely be working on another tier list hopefully in the next week or two. But I think the game at the very top of the meta is pretty even. I think if you just take the absolute best players and give them different factions, most of the games are going to be very close. I would give Drukhari and AdMech an edge over the other
Nurgle
ones.
Matt.
Thanks so much, Nurgle Matt. Big support for the long term. Well, we love you here at the Art of War. You're a legend of this channel, and always appreciate seeing you and having your support.
We always see the holy number coming in.
It's the holy number of Nurgle. But yeah, I think overall at the top, I was most worried. I specifically tailored towards what I thought would be the best lists at the event, which is speed melee armies. Armies that have access to advance and charge, that can get across the board very quickly, that can do a lot of damage in combat, and jump from ruin to ruin. So I tailored my AdMech list to deal with that by having just more trading pieces that also hit equally hard. And Metallica has an amazing 1 CP strat to turn off rerolls with a unit within 6, Blair and Glory. And that is so powerful. I thought White Scars would be really
Tell us
difficult.
exactly what that does for everybody going on with that.
Yeah, 1 CP, Blair and Glory, you pick a unit within 6 inches of a Metallica unit, and they do not reroll to hit or wound. So no rerolls for them. And think of Vanguard vets or Death Company unit that's been buffed up by the chapter master by Commander Dante. Okay, how much damage are they doing? You're basically cutting it in half.
Huge.
Um, so it's massive,
We've done
especially if you're in,
whole math hammers about those rerolls.
yeah, if you're in the veteran cohort too. Then you and calculate without diversion. You make the 5 of pain cost 1 less CP. Now you stack that on there. Huge swings can happen. And with enhanced bionics on pretty much everything in my army, with a 5-up invul, my army is actually a lot more durable than you think. It's a lot of T3 all over the place, but 5-up invulns and a lot of multi-wound makes up for that. So really love the way the Metallica list played, and I thought it was a great meta choice, and that ended up being proved correct. I didn't need any more shooting than I had. Um, so was
let's
very pleased with
let's
how the
talk
list
about
functioned.
things that you might even love a little bit more. Going into the next tournament, what do you think about your Grey Knights coming instead of some Metallica? Speaking of hand-to-hand monstrosity.
So, in the practical sense, the next event that I'm playing in is probably Las Vegas teams, and I am not going to be the Marine player up there. I'm not sure if Grey Knights are supposed to be included or whether they're separate from the Marine restriction, but I think the team is going to have me play AdMech regardless. So probably won't get a chance to play Grey Knights unless I come up with a build that's just ridiculously good. Right now, I'm still experimenting. I've only had one game with the new Grey Knights, but they perform very well. It's a really powerful melee army with a lot of speed with the interceptors. So I'm going to keep experimenting with that. I want to try out some preservers for 5 of Pain. I want to try out pure Rapier's detachment. So we'll see. I think overall, I really like their playstyle, especially on dense terrain. I think they play Games Workshop terrain very well. So definitely worth experimenting to see how they could perform at Games Workshop New Orleans, which is the next event in early October. And I will be there.
More importantly, Siegs, what is your favorite Grey Knights special character and why?
Uh,
People need to know these things right
it's
now.
Draco because he's the boss. He's
Is
the
he?
man.
Would you say
He, t-
it's
he
Drago,
took
my
all the storm
man?
shields. Yeah, he took all the storm shields in the chapter. Okay, took the best one that he could find, and then destroyed all the other ones so that nobody else could have a storm shield. That's how much of a boss Draco is. So he's the supreme grandmaster, and he is a champion in my heart.
I mean,
He also
they did have an oopsie and leave their planet with into the warp for 10,000 years. So kind of missed that whole Horus Heresy thing. Whoops.
I'm a huge fan of Draco. I really enjoy him. Have no love for Mortarian, so always good to see Draco do some stuff in the lore.
Some stuff in the
But
lore.
I really like him. Eisenhower is my favorite character in the Imperium.
He's got some great novels. Let's talk about that. You know what? I'm going to segue into another Brad, because here's the thing. I've got flashing lights on and I've got the attention span of a squirrel. There's some shiny stuff you said. You said Eisenhorn. I want to know, everybody in chat, what's your favorite 40K novel? Origin.
So I really like both the Eisenhorn and the Ravener trilogies, and the Beckwin trilogies that Dan Abnett's working on now. I still think Eisenhorn is my favorite of the Inquisitors, and then Ravener is second. Ravener is still actually a pretty cool character overall. Um, I think he has a better supporting cast, honestly, outside of Master Amos, who's a boss.
Please do it.
What is your favorite character in the novels?
So tough. I got a couple moments because I'm all over the place. I think one of my favorite moments, because the Horus Heresy was the first set of books that I actually read in 40K. I was semi-resistant on reading the novels as opposed to the actual fluff because I'm an old man and I was like, this is what the lore is supposed to be. And then I read all of them. But when Angron gets buried underneath just rubble, basically, they blow through a wall and Angron gets crushed and they're taking over. I can't remember what the guys were, but they were humans that they had rediscovered and went to war with. And they were literally signing the treaty where they were going to, basically be an ally of the Imperium. And then as they're signing the treaty, out of nowhere, Angron busts out of the rubble and literally just yells blood for Horus and just starts mowing all of them down. Because, he's a diplomat. When you look at diplomats,
sure.
I think Angron. When I say, let's send our best diplomat, our best negotiator, I send Angron every time. You know what I mean? That guy's got a way with words.
Did
The Bible trilogy was really
Mark
good.
Perry? That's a very Mark Perry answer.
Yes. But no, I really love the Eisenhorn. When you said it, that made me think of it because that was a really, really good book. I actually really like the Aramon trilogy, actually, to tell you the truth. It was really, really good.
I have no love for chaos, so absolutely not.
I love for
Um,
as my my bandwagon hopping goes. I love it all.
All right, there's some good questions in here. How does it feel knowing that the only way you can achieve your dreams is
Just
to
destroy
crush
your
those
friends.
of the closest friends? Unfortunately, I had to end Jack and John's run at Orlando, but those are very good games. Both of them you could see on stream, and obviously I played Jack in a practice game of my Metallica list versus Blood Angels in the War Room practice stream. So I had already understood what I need to do in that matchup better, and executed that in the semifinal game. And then I played John's sisters like 4 or 5 times with various AdMech lists. I knew exactly what that list
I was
does.
just about to say you've
So
played so many games against that
this is
list.
like I think 5 games into his
And the
specific
best
type
part
of
is, not only
list.
are you playing games into it, but you're playing games where you're breaking down each move. So it's like
Exactly.
everything that's happening.
And he played against like every flavor of AdMech besides Metallica. So I had all the experience going in, and I had the extra tools of
See,
Metallica,
and this is what
which he
everybody
was
should
not as
know.
familiar with.
Siegs holds back until it really counts against everybody that's his friend, and then boom! Look what he found. Look what's inside here. Oh, it's a bag full of punching sticks.
I'll
Ooh,
be honest,
Lyle,
I thought John would take White Scars, and that made me lean even more towards Metallica
oh,
because
yeah.
the Vanguard vets just get shut down by Blaring Glory.
Huge. If you don't,
So
if you can't get the rerolls, they're just meh. Lyle, I will. I didn't even think about this, but I will, for instance, say it, and I'm not even gonna. Not he will not be. He will be named. Mr. Tom Ogden is a huge Black Templars fan. If that book comes out and he's not 100% ready to run it at the tournament, I will also run Black Templars, and I will win that tournament in a grudge match. We will bet a sandwich on it. Tom and I will. A delightful sandwich, also.
you have to play the Jack Templars as well.
Jack Templars. Let's get a
Jack
new book.
Templars.
I gotta do stuff.
He's very excited for the new Black Templars, so we'll see. It's November that they're coming out. That Games Workshop said November.
Let's go. I've got the Warhammer. I want to talk about a couple things today. I have Warhammer
Yeah.
community pulled up. We've got the 40K Codex roadmap. So let's talk about the things that are coming out. We've got September. Obviously, we've got official orcs, Black Templars in November, and December. Let's look at it though. Those two pictures look a lot like some
Well, they
stuff.
say it at the bottom. It's an Imperial and a Xenos book.
And a Xenos, but can we not say that it's going to be Guard and Tyranids? I mean, it's not that the things that we have looking there.
They showed those two exact same images on the.
Oh, they showed them before?
Codexes
Ah.
in January. In January, they had here's the next codexes, and they used the same exact images.
Well, then
which
we
are,
can
from the
have
generic rulebook.
Well, just think about what we haven't got so far. So we haven't got GSC, we haven't got NIDS as
I
far
would
as
expect
Xenos.
one of those.
Yeah, so
I don't
definitely-
expect Tau, unfortunately.
Well. Let's
would
not
love to
get
get rules,
crazy. But maybe no, they are Xenos.
It would be great, but I think they just have
they
no idea
need to
what
be
Tau can do.
purged, and it's something Imperium. I mean, we haven't seen Custodes, we haven't seen Imperial
Custodes.
Guard. So if I was going to lay money, those are the two big, not.
I'd like to see Custodes get new rules. They're so heavily reliant on the Forge World stuff. It'd be great to see.
Oh yeah, I mean right now it's
cohesive
Codex Forge
Codex.
World. They just are
It's
Codex
Codex
Forge
Forge
World.
World. Yeah, it's Forge World plus the Psychic Awakening book is holding that thing up. But they do have powerful rolls. I played against them at Orlando, and Steve gave me a great game. He was really impressive.
Speaking of that, assuming the rumors are correct, GSC and Custodes, I'd love to see new Custodes. I think Custodes 100%. I agree with Richard on this because I think that the Custodes are a really cool fluff army. I mean, come on, dude, they're literally the defenders of humanity on Terra. Super whack ultra dudes, but they also have way more fluff than they have models. I mean, they need a bigger line, a bigger discrepant variety of things they can do. They shouldn't have to be Codex Forge World. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be Triple Telemon, Sagittarium and stuff. It's just yes, I'd love to see that book come out for them. And I think the GSC need to not be the army that people just randomly put 200 points in so they can get blips right now in their Tyranid army. Because that's literally how people are playing GSC. I'd love to see GSC come out again. Tough army to balance though, because you don't know how we've seen GSC has either been in the dumpster or very dominant. I don't think they've ever been very even
or their
keel.
only bad matchup is Tau if I play it.
It specifically only if Siegs plays it, not Tao. Siegler Tao.
That was a
Richard
fun time
Dar.
where I just beat every GSC player, period, and the GSC just won almost everything that I didn't go to. That was the time.
Ooh, here's a question I'm very torn about. Are we getting to a point where there should be a pro circuit? After Orlando, it seems like the gap between professional players and everyone else might be widening to that point. Yes and no. I think one of the things is that, especially like for instance the Art of War crew, this is what we do. So like anything that you do a lot of, you're just going to be better at. You know what I mean? If I did anything, you know what I mean? You did combat sports, you did volleyball, you did
We would
chess.
hope. There are people who,
Yes.
who do a lot of stuff.
Yes, I know, but I'm just saying, like with
Yeah.
with repetition, basically of anything, I do everything as fight, fight metaphors, analogies, but like just anything that you do all the time, you're just going to be better at because you just have more knowledge. Because think about the times you lose games. A lot of times it's to newer things, a new combo, something that you weren't familiar with, and if somebody's playing games all the time like we are, we get caught with less of those. So it gives us an advantage on that. So maybe as far as the pro circuit, but I don't know if there's a huge pro circuit, enough people to be considered a pro circuit. And the thing is I enjoy hanging out with everybody, and I wouldn't want to be on a super serious. I take the game serious, but I also clearly do not, because I always have a glass of wine in my hand, and I like to enjoy myself. I like to look into cool new models. And the best part about 40K for me is the evening after when we're sitting talking about the games at dinner, and you love talking about the fact that Siegs rolled nothing but 4-ups. I failed all my 2-inch charges, and you want to woe your dice and talk about everything and just have fun times about the day. And I think that's the best part for me. Obviously, I want to win still. And I should be. I mean, it's tough to get against Siegs because, I mean, you are half robotic. Everybody knows that you're actually a cyborg. I mean, we hear you pretending, but we all know that you download the program for the Orlando GT before you went there. So it's tough, you know what I mean? When Skynet's right there with you, it's tough to get those wins against you, man.
You saw that, and it's 5-ups, not 4-ups. 5-ups.
My bad. I didn't need to sell you short, buddy.
I personally don't want to be above the community in this pro circuit above everything else. We want to be part of the community overall. So Art of War is just think of me 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. I was just entering competitive 40K. I was, just starting to play RTTs, get some wins. But it really took me getting beat on relentlessly by John Lennon at random GTs and RTTs before I started to really get good. And that's basically what Art of War is. Instead of having to get beat on by a bunch of people, you just come here and we tell you what's good, how to make the most of your army, how to do all the tricks and amazing maneuvers you can do in 9th edition. So just try and take out that learning curve instead of getting tons and tons of reps with the list.
I mean, I'll shamelessly promote myself with our coaching and everything else.
But,
I mean, it is, but you got to go all in.
Like, that's what we're trying to do. We don't want to be above the community in this separate pro
But the thing is that the more you go over things, and the thing is that all of us read literally everything that it comes out. You might not have time for that. A ton of people don't have time for it. That's what we do. Yeah, well, let's not go there. The rest of us read all the rules and really know.
John and I do a lot of reading in this house.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
I'll say that.
I foolishly, at times, I'm trying to have that conversation. He's
there
just
he
like, I'm so proud that he read it all.
Speaking of the devil, he just walked by. He
didn't have a book in hand. I love the fact that you
did. On the floor.
He did think it was. I love that when Nick reading a Codex is so rare that you took a picture of it and posted it up.
Yeah, he was reading the brand new Codex within a week of release. Now, soon I'll be able to get that photo of him reading the Thousand Suns book because he has a stream match coming up. That's the trick with Nick. You got to put him on a stream match with the new book, and then he'll read it. Otherwise, he'll just experience it and get beat on relentlessly like Admech. That was amazing.
Team Art of War, or Team LU. We have all of the stuff and things. I mean, we did. I give it a we. I'm part of the team. I do love that you said the team might want to play. I'm part of the team that's going to Vegas, and Siegs is like, oh yeah, also Brad, the guy that's really far away. But it's mostly the guys that are next to me. That hurts. Like a little tear running down my cheek right now.
Oh, Brad, we love you. We love you.
What?
Don't worry about it. But yeah, we are bringing an awesome team to the Las Vegas team event, which is going to happen at the end of September. And boy, are we excited for that! After the showings that we've had at Atlantic City, at Games Workshop Orlando, in the ITC circuit overall, Art of War is doing really, really well. And so we're super proud of all our team members.
Juiced. I mean, people. I just love that we brought everything different. You know what I mean? I thought that was super
Yeah,
cool.
we
I just
weren't spamming the same thing.
yeah,
That
because a
happened
lot
to
of
be that
times
we
what
brought
happens
our
is
own list.
exactly you find the one meta defining list and everybody plays it kind of thing, and
Yeah,
that wasn't the
Leviathan.
case at all. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm saying, but that's as a
Yeah.
team, that's what you look for. You know, you hone it down with your teammates and you find the best thing. And right now, we did a much different tack, and brought different things that everybody was very passionate about. Everybody took their literally their favorite army that's out right now, kind of thing,
Yeah.
and slammed down with it.
Yeah,
So
Jack took Blood Angels, Mark took Aldari Soup, John took his sisters, though he was very, very close to running White
didn't
Scars.
he
And
brought both, did he not?
he did bring both to the event and was deciding the night before what he wanted to play.
That makes me
So
so proud. I've done that for years. I am. It makes me sad that we have to put list submissions in now because for years and years and years, you could always know where to find me at midnight-ish. I was down in the business center because that's when you had to print off lists. I'm an old man. That's how long I've been playing. You'd always find me at the business center printing out my newest revised list that I came up with at the last second before we went into the tournament. So, rocking and rolling.
Lyle, Nick has a long history of losing with Tau in really important bet games. So last year, one of the famous ones was whether Nick could win with the new Farsight Enclaves rules versus John playing his GSC mix. And if
Well,
whoever lost was
let's
going to
go with
sleep
a
in a little
third person. No,
Harry Potter
let's
closet.
give a third person on this. What
Yeah.
Brad gets with, by the way, so John sends me a picture of Nick basically sleeping in the Harry Potter. It's this little
A little
cubby hole
closet
under the stairs, but gives no context. I don't know about a bet. All I know is that apparently Nick now sleeps under the stairs in the Harry Potter place. And
It was because I beat on Nick relentlessly with Farsight Enclaves. He was like, "This is the most broken rule set to come out, period. More broken than Leviathan, Yari, whatever it was." So he was that confident taking it into John's GSC, and then John just schooled him. And it wasn't even a close match. Nick conceded in like turn 3. He didn't take any of my advice, by the
literally
way.
all I got was this, and I literally go, "So what's going on, guys?" I get no follow up. I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. John just flexing on me on the fact that he apparently just muscled Nick underneath the stairs. Ooh, I have questions for you on a community thing. Have you watched any of the Hammer and Bolter stuff?
Hammer and Bolter, is that the Warhammer Plus?
That is the Warhammer Plus stuff. I
No,
asked.
I did not have time to go for their preview showing of it, and I haven't seen anything else about
because
it.
they got the
But,
free Warhammer screening, and I have not checked it out yet, and I was wondering if anybody else has. I'm very interested in it. I
I
really
didn't hear
like.
anything about it.
Yeah.
But I was just focused on all the.
Well, we were
the,
busier this weekend
games.
than I was.
Yeah.
I had free reign. My wife went to LA, and I was by myself wandering around, just bouncing off things. I had no adult supervision. It was crazy times. Who knows?
That's
What
dangerous. Right without adult supervision.
Exactly.
What's going on there?
I may or may not have taken my drugs. I just, who knows where I end up wandering about. Just an old man. I look like I won't even bring up celebrities that end up in other people's houses. Nothing, anything could happen with me. No, but I was checking that. I had not checked it out yet, but I do love that style of. I really wish we'd push forward. I love that type of content. I love that kind of. I just love the fluff. I'm a huge fluff guy. This is another reason why I want to do this show, because we could talk about literally anything, and that's why I'm talking about this fluff right now.
I know Nurgle Matt was watching the live stream of the finals game, but that moment where the 5 Zephyrim came in, made the Miracle Dice charge into my 8 infiltrators, and ended up killing I believe 4 of them. Or anyway, brought it down to a 2-man squad after some shooting.
Also,
as well.
again, how were you still alive?
I made some saves. It was like, I think it was 10 or 12 saves, and I failed 4 or 5 of them. And
What was that
killed
save made on, Siegs?
5 of invulns, baby.
Exactly?
A lot of 5s and 6s of that dice pool. The 2 guys lived, the sergeant and 1 guy. and then I activated them. I was in the +1 weapon skill protocol, so with calculated without diversion, I made the +1 CP from the veteran cohort for +1 attack. I made that free, and then spent 1 CP on +1 attack for the Sakaran unit, and then and then spent another CP for 5s and 6s on my taser weapons, or 2 additional hits, and then so 5 attacks. What would have been 5 attacks became 9 attacks, and then it became 15 wounds with all the explosions and wounding on 2s. And then
So
just obliterated the Zephyr, consolidated on the objective, spent 1 CP AdMech auto pass on the unit, and boom, ensured the 10, and was in a really comfortable spot
so
after
on a
that.
scale of 1 to 10, what was the sadness level, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the most sad you could be? What was John's face after 1?
It was
You
actually
had
just
no business
comical.
being alive, and then you murdered him.
So he just accepted that. He just laughed. He just accepted that it was, what could you do with a swing like that? That completely backfired and put me in the driver's seat for the rest of the game, and forced him to just throw everything in the middle of the objective to try and stop me from scoring more points.
Now, after that, you guys had a really, really close game, to go back on that. But
Yeah.
I think the end you won 64-62, I think it was, and
No, 84-82.
84-82. Sorry, it was 2 points, yeah. But
Yeah.
once you get to that point, was it a thing where you basically were always able to know that you were going to win by those 2 points and just kind of cruised in, or did you have to make any other plays after that?
It was because I had to get. Well, I did have to make a play. I had to kill. I needed to secure 3 more points. However, on my final turn, because I was going to get 10 on primary, which would then bring me to 1 point behind John. And so I needed 3 points, whether kill 1 infantry unit to secure Eradication of the Flesh, touch the middle objective and control it at the end of the turn in order to get my direct assault, or hold 3 objectives and get a stranglehold. So I needed to do one of those things. I just decided to throw everything up and set myself up to try and do all of them. I ended up killing the Repentia with the Thoraxi unit, and that sealed the game. I went ahead and rolled some charges, but failed them. So I won by the 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I say that because
Eradication of the Flash, what a secondary!
Yes,
I can't believe people came out when the book came out and people were like, "Advent got bad secondaries." What?
And they should have been immediately drug tested, because they were
most of the top meta is MSU infantry armies that can't kill a hiding Scorpius,
right,
or just a hiding vehicle,
right.
So
if that thing dies, typically it's because you're literally getting tabled at that point in time, so you're not even worried about. You're like, oh no, I'm not getting eradication. Oh, it's because I don't have any models left. That's why.
Yeah.
But that no, I say that because of the score. A lot of times you'll see games where the score is very close at the end, but once you get to a certain point, you're calculating your points and then the predicted score every single turn, what your opponent can get. And a lot of times you're able to, once you get that big play, because most games come down to one or 2 swing points, where you can basically go, okay, then I got control and he was never able to push back, and I controlled 3 and denied the 1. And even though it's a close score, you kind of know that you're eventually going to get this game.
Yeah, the Zephyr charge was huge. That swing put me into the driver's seat. Otherwise, if he gave me the 5 there, then I did need to go for the most points in the final turn and actually make those charges and set up plays. In that case, that's why I kept the big ranger unit alive, because if I needed to in the final turn, I would have charged a bunch of nonsense in, tied up John's heroic interventions, especially on things like Vol, and sent the Rangers in with advance and charge, and the reroll charges and advances from Eyes of the Omnissiah for 1 CP, because they're a Vanguard or Ranger unit, and then strung that unit out onto multiple objectives and tried to obsec everywhere, because John's list doesn't have very much obsec outside of the Dogmata giving something, and he had sent the Dogmata like in a strange direction and kind of didn't have its utility. Now, it didn't matter, because any unit he would have given obsec to touch the center, I would have destroyed anyway with the Ruststalkers from my ruin. But I didn't have to send them out till late game till you put the Celestine and
that's a big deal,
Sagristans up there
because of that.
Yeah,
100%. This is a fantastic question, and it's going to be different for the both of us, because one of us is old and broken, the other one's not. This doesn't seem to be a lot of discussion on tournament fatigue over the course of long events. I'm doing a 2-part series on this that'll be out. I have to talk to Siegs when it's going to be out. It'll be out basically in the next month. I'm doing a full deal about that. Because of the fact that I have a lot of health problems, it's very difficult for me to go through an entire tournament when we're talking about 6, 7, 8, 9 games and stuff like that. So I think it's a big deal. I think it's very important to do a lot of things. Eat right. I mean, we joke about, partying and stuff and enjoying yourself, but there's something to be said for making sure you have enough food, water, everything else. I know those are like just your old man Brad, your dad, your grandpa talking to you about how you should eat better, Sonny. But it's all comes into play, man. If you're like super tired, you're super just broken. I mean, over the course of those times, I amongst other things, I've got a really bad back, so my back hurts. You're making better decisions. It's important to also have things that you fall back on. I fall back on small things. I have little cards and stuff that I do. I do checklists. I write everything down. I know you've seen my ghetto cards and stuff where I put everything next to like my Drukari things, but those are for me as well as my opponent to know exactly where I am, what everything has. I do a ton of checklists and stuff like that. So I think it's really big to have your as with all people, I am a creature of habit. So I want to make sure that I do the same things all the time and not forgetting things. What are your keys to going on? You're very, very good at doing the long tournaments. You've had,
Yeah, I've had a lot of success in the long runs.
yep,
So, big thing is I don't do anything after I have dinner. I go back to the room and then I rest and relax. I usually just think about the matchups, potential ones that I could play tomorrow or the following day, and then I just get a good night of like 8 9 hours of sleep, and then I just stay hydrated throughout the day. I don't spend a lot of time, going. I don't really go out to lunch and stuff. I have like small snacks for lunch, and wait for the final round to end before having dinner. So I just try and have little pep things throughout the day, but I don't drink energy drinks or alcohol or anything like that. So just lots of water, lots and lots of water, staying hydrated and not distracting myself with anything. Um, the other thing is, like you said, Brad, I have a lot of tools that help me keep track of all my rules, especially with AdMech, which has a ton in command phase buffs.
huge
uh,
interactions.
Jack Harpster printed out some really nice cards for me that I could use, plus the Games Workshop cards. So I was able to keep track of my army-wide mechanicals for the 2 characters when needed, which is very rare, and then the 4 Doctrinas for my army, and then whatever was getting Canic Thrallnet, which Doctrina they were also getting, who was ignoring them with the Control Edict. I had cards for all the units that were benefiting from whatever abilities I was giving out. So it was never confusing for me or my opponent, and I always remembered what rules I needed to put out each turn. So those were extremely helpful. Just having any sort of aid like that to make sure that you play your army to its maximum efficiency, highly recommended. I did the same thing when I played Breviathan at LVO 2019. I had all the cards there and created some extra ones for all the rules that my characters were giving out.
I think they're so helpful, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think that I do a lot of pre homework. We talk about this too. I talk about it a lot in the Math Hammer. I do a lot of numbers where I know how my units go into different units, and people might have time for that. But that I do think it's nice to know what your average is. Basically, I have a unit A. How does it fare into a toughness 4 with a 3 up, toughness 5, whatever? So you can make good decisions. So you don't have to do all that math while you're sitting there. You already have experience knowing what those can do. And I think those are big, but anytime you can do homework, cards, anything, sort out your deck for one, like your stratagems, take out the ones that you use all the time, have them ready to go, and put the ones you're not going to use, literally just put them away. And then put the ones that you use very sparingly in their own pile also, but have the ones that you use all the time right in front of you all the time. So they're just mnemonic devices almost, you know what I mean? You just continue to click, remember that picture, remember that name. So I just think it's a big deal. I mean, you can fall apart. I appreciate Nergomad on that because Charity Hammer was really bad for me. At one point in time, I did kind of tap out. I got a message from
I
Siegs
got
of,
Space Wolfed.
well, and during I got tapped out. I was mid game and I just went, I can't play anymore, guys. I literally cannot play. I did have the best. Colin did have the best because I felt bad about it because I was midstream and I was just like, I can't play anymore, man. I've literally taken a turn and a half off basically of not doing anything. And the next day I felt bad and he goes, oh, so we took the guy with tons of health problems and we never let him sleep and made him play 40K every 3 hours and we're surprised that he had health problems. Huh, okay, nobody cares, Brad. It's okay. I was like, thank you, appreciate it. It's like, you're like, we got it. I did have fun. I had so much fun. I'd like to recap that a little bit. We didn't talk a ton about Charity Hammer over because everybody was getting ready for Orlando. I loved it, man. I just we got a ton of money for a great cause. And it was super fun playing so many different things. And the 3 a.m. games, while a pain in the butt, were super fun. I played at midnight, 3 a.m. I played all over the place. And I loved it because we had people watching all the time from everywhere across the world. We came around with, it was just a ton of fun. I had a blast. I played different armies all the time and played against it, but a ton of different stuff. It was a great time. You know what I mean? We raised a bunch of money. It was fantastic, dude. Colin did great. I mean, high five from 3,000 miles away, 4,800 kilometers. Am I right on that? So
The GT also gave John the confidence to keep playing Sisters, and he has continued to do well with them. Their win rate is not the
I
highest
actually think that he
in the
got
game.
more confidence on that because he made some mistakes and come back. He basically came back
He's
from.
able to come back with them.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it
exactly.
just kept building on his confidence with Sisters. So it's really impressive what he's done with that list.
100%. I like, and
Yeah.
I really like right now for me the codexes that I think that are very very good as far as diversity. I do like the Orc Codex. I like the Sisters Codex from. I think there's lots of options in both. They might not be the tops, but I think that they just have lots of fun, and they've got lots of different tournament worthy builds that are coming out of them. So
But the AdMech Codex, there's so many builds in there.
the AdMech
I've
Codex
played
is
like almost.
insanity. Yeah,
I've played
sorry,
most of the
sorry.
Forge Worlds.
AdMech has diversity in it. All of them are just so much better than everybody else. You shouldn't be allowed to play AdMech. There should be some sort of like, no, you're allowed to play things like Tau. You're
I played
you're
Tau at ACO.
you're too good to be
Let me play
playing like the
AdMech one
top. You
time.
can't play broken armies. It's just ridiculous. It's silly. You're not. Well, you should have submitted your list, and they should have went no, and they gave you an alternate list. They just handed you a different army and went figure that one out, Siegs. You gotta get a little handicap, buddy. You got your own bracket on that.
Pure Guard.
Pure
You'll
guard.
find a way. Find a way.
Find a way. It's not even just pure guard. You're gonna play only Rough Riders. You're just Death Corps of Creed. There you go.
I play some Deathcore.
You might actually do that because Tyler DeVries and I came up with the army of shenanigans where he just took every single Cerberus Raider and Death Corps Creed Raider and just basically pushed them on top of everyone and just went, figure it out. I'm taking all the primary. So
So the criteria for getting invited to Charity Hammer, I believe, is you are a well-known presence in the community in terms of either winning events like multiple GTs, majors.
streams, just anything.
Yep, and then whether you have like a major impact on the community through streaming, and also that you're a good representative of the hobby and the community overall. So if you have a number of those aspects combined, you're very likely to get invited. Just being a good person on stream, a good sportsman, that's really important.
Can
to
you
Colin.
make money for the that charity? That's about it, really.
Yep.
Here's this question for you, Siegs. Is there even a Tau list that can fight AdMech right now? You are the current champion of Tau and of AdMech. Tell me your wisdom on this right here. Don't beat around the bush either.
Not in Games Workshop Orlando terrain, I'll tell you that. Cow don't have a single chance on that terrain. Maybe on lighter terrain, you could do it.
Maybe in a
Against
team
milers,
tournament, maybe?
I feel like 9 Remores is the way to go. You just need to be able to move block
You mean
constantly.
Ghost Remoras?
Brad knows about the Remores.
Yes, I do.
You
They
need to be
touch
able
me
to just
badly.
delay the primary of the AdMech so that you can rack up points early. Because Tau have a really strong secondary game to match AdMech. It's the primary game. If you can beat them on the primary and keep the secondaries even, you actually have a chance. So I feel like denying primary is going to come down to how well you can move block the objectives with Remores and prevent them from getting on there. They're very powerful in doing so. Remores can also set up plays where they can block off Cerberus Raider fallbacks with the Tactical Oblique. Even though the Cerberus Raiders can move through your base, you can make it so that the whole unit can't end more than an inch away, and thus you can get your crisis suits and everything wrapped around them in the middle of the table. Stuff like that to just help with your mobility.
So give me the highs and lows from the weekend. And I'm gonna give you a two-part question here. Highs and lows for the weekend period, and then give me your MVPs and something in your AdMech list that you're meh about and might change in the future. If there isn't.
So obviously the highlights is how well the Art of War team did overall. I mean, we were in the top 4. I ended up winning best overall. John was second to one, and then Jack Harpster got the most battle points. Was the War Master. Was a really impressive performance. Mark Perry did amazing. His soup mix as well. We all got on stream. Blake Law did an amazing job. He's the podcast host of Unbroken. He did great in the best overall standings with an amazingly painted Knights army. He also got on stream for a game. So Art of War overall did amazing. It was great to see everybody doing well. We were all joking and laughing and having fun. If you watch the final stream game, I saw some of the shots where you actually got to see John and I, and we were joking back and forth and laughing and having a good time. And that's just we played it like a stream game, like we normally do. So uh, you know, it was a pleasure to play against John. It always is. And I think outside of that, just getting to see a lot of people in the community once again. Florida. I've played at a lot of Florida events since 2019, that late 2018, and so I got to see a lot of fresh faces and all those old friends that I've made. It was great to see some of the Brohammer guys who all were helping with the stream as well. John Moore, Dan Smith, behind the scenes doing some amazing work. The judge team was amazing. They got some of the best judges, period, for 40K and flew them out over to Orlando. And so, throughout the event, there was, never a question. Anytime those judges were nearby, they had answers on hand, and there were no issues that I heard of. So I thought the judge staff was amazing. Justin Curtis is one of my lucky charms. He was there for when I won Nova, and now he was here when I won Games Workshop Orlando. So I appreciate you, Justin. You and Nurgle Matt helping me. Um, then we've got, in terms of the MVPs in the list, the Ruststalkers. The Ruststalkers were amazing. They carried most matchups. If they didn't even go, some matchups they didn't go in until the very late game, but just the threat of having the Temper Copia on the Sergeant in the 10-man unit meant that if I sent out the Ash Runner guy and had him flat advance 6, moves 9, flat advances 6, and then is right near my opponent's units with his Metallic and Lung aura, and then I advance and charge the Ruststalkers in there. You could potentially get that fight last off with reroll wounds. You could kill pretty much anything in the game when you pop off the +2, the 2 CP for +1 attack, those two different strats. So Ruststalkers were amazing value. The 19-man Break of Rangers was just enough firepower to threaten my opponent from different angles and force them to respect the shooting that I had. But I didn't overcommit to shooting and then lose out in the melee trading game. So one unit was enough for me. Loved having the 5-man OBSEC units. I had tried out having a couple 10-mans, but I just wanted more bodies on the board in different places. And that ended up being extremely helpful in the last two matchups, especially against John, where I could just send out 5 OBSEC bodies onto the objective, make sure
Dude,
John only was
Nurgle,
getting a 5.
killing it, brother.
And so the 5-mans were amazing, Ruststalkers were amazing, and that 19-man unit. Those are probably the MVPs throughout the game, throughout the weekend. And then for the least valuable unit, honestly, if I would have to cut anything, I'd probably reduce the Taraxi down to only 5 models. I had brought them in there for 2 reasons. One, to just have a unit that forces my opponent to screen, because I don't have Lucius, so I don't have a teleporting unit that forces my opponent to screen starting turn 1. The threat range of the Taraxi out of the transport is amazing, with potential advance and charge plays and flat advance 6 from March to War, as well as the fact that they can shoot and do that, and then they can go up into reserve. I had asked before round 1 whether they were going to allow, based on the wording, whether Taraxi can disembark from the transport and go up via booster thrust. They said yes, it's only intended to stop units that came in from reserve that turn from going back up. So I was able to play it that way. I didn't do it too often. Mostly it was just the threat of having the Traxi there that mattered. But honestly, I could have done very similar things with the 5-man. I really wanted them for against other shooting armies to be able to tag their infantry and prevent them from falling back on a 2-up. I wanted access to that strat.
Gotcha.
So honestly, I could cut some points there and just add stuff elsewhere. I don't know what, maybe just more bodies in the infiltrator units. Infiltrators are so good as well. Just turning off rerolls for anything that wanted to charge.
That's such a huge
It was
deal.
a big reason why John didn't finish off that unit. He couldn't use the reroll wound strat on the Zephyr to ensure it happened. So maybe do that.
Gigantic.
Yep.
So as usual, everybody, what do we got going on this week in the War Room?
We got a lot of stuff coming up. Of course, I believe it's you and I who are doing the Grey Knights Clinic. Matt and either Mark or yourself are going to be doing the Thousand Sun Clinic, so a lot of new analysis.
It'll be me for
books.
sure, because I'll be the only one that'll basically call anybody, because I host all of them. So I might, you know what? Tell you the truth, I'm going to put both of them on. I've got a 3-person screen that I like.
And we've got a couple battles on the on our YouTube stream. We're gonna have um, a subscriber match for Mr. Matt O with Cult of Strife versus John's Tyranids. And then on Thursday on YouTube, we are going to have an excellent matchup of me playing my latest Grey Knight build into Mark Perry playing his latest Orc build. And then in the War Room, we're going to have Nick playing Thousand Suns for the first time versus John's White Scars. So great matchups all around. On Wednesday for the Hangout and Hobby, it's going to be John and myself, and we're going to be talking more in depth about the tournament, about Games Workshop Orlando. And then, of course, because John is the host of, or the one of the panelists for Art of War, the podcast, I am going to be doing the episode with him. We're going to be talking about the matchup there as well as just my AdMech list. So if you want a more in-depth breakdown of all the choices I made in designing the list and then how I played it, I'm going to be recording that Art of War podcast episode this week. Hopefully it'll go out early next week. So definitely look forward to all those things. But if you want to ask some questions live, super chat us. Wednesday, John and I will be on stream talking about our GW Orlando experience.
All of the things, my friends. Thanks, everybody. I'll do the last questions real quick. I do not, because I don't like giving people easy secondary points. Also, I like the opportunity to take a Boar the Witch, and Art of War took the top 4. So those are the end. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. We will be here all the time. Everything happened with the Siegs just said, and of course all the Monday Mojo that happens all the time. So
yeah, check out the schedule on our social media.
I was just about to say we've got the new prettiness on it. So everyone, thank you for hanging out. Siegs, thanks for being with me.